Thanks for joining me again on the nature of mental health. On today's episode, we are joined by Audrey Costa, founder of Deep Rooted Wellness and Creatives. Audrey is a certified nature therapist, licensed hiking and camping guide, and wellness expert with over 20 years of experience in health education and experiential programming. At Deep Rooted Wellness and Creatives, she guides women and families through immersive outdoor experiences designed for healing, resilience, and growth. Drawing on her background as a certified personal trainer, nutrition specialist, and licensed clinical mental health counselor, Audrey integrates physical challenge, somatic practices, and mindful connection into her Women's Wild Resilience backpacking retreats and Connected Together family nature retreats. Her work centers on the belief that healing doesn't always happen in stillness. It can be found through movement, challenge, and shared experience on the trail. Through intentional time in nature, Audrey helps women reconnect with their bodies, build confidence, and transform adversity into strength. Stick around as we get to know Audrey and the amazing work she is doing for women and families. We'll learn not only about the programs she is offering with deep-rooted wellness and creatives, but how physical challenges build lasting resilience and confidence from deep within. Welcome to the Nature of Mental Health, the podcast where we explore how time outdoors supports emotional well-being, resilience, and healing. I'm your host, Will Henry, clinical social worker, nature-informed therapist, and founder of Riverstone Mental Health Collective. Join me as we dive into practical tools, meaningful conversations, and inspiring stories that help us reconnect with the natural world and ourselves. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Nature of Mental Health. I'm so honored to have Audrey Costa on the show today to talk about the amazing work she's doing with deep-rooted wellness and creatives and beyond, really. So welcome so much, Audrey, and thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Absolutely. I want to say at the top that we both graduated from the same nature-informed therapy program, and I've been following you on social media for a couple of years, and watching the work you do is really remarkable. And so just kudos. It's really impressive to see all that. You do a lot.
I do a lot, but I feel like I've said this before. I've been training for this my whole life.
I love that. Tell us, how did you come to do this work? I mean, what brought you to this point?
Well, I will try and make it concise.
Okay.
So, in a nutshell, I think I am trying to bring what worked for me to heal and grow, and I'm trying to bring that to other women in specific. Um, in a nutshell, I have lived through a very abusive marriage. I have watched my children live through the same thing. I have watched my youngest son struggle with addiction and recovery and mental health issues. I have been in recovery for 5 years, and so
Congratulations.
I feel like I am just bringing what worked for me to other folks, and those things are nature, movement, and creativity. If I were to just pick the top 3 buckets, that is it. And so through my experiences, I mean, I've been in health and well-being for my whole career, over 20 years, right? And I started out as a phys ed teacher, did some nonprofit work with the Y, taught for 14 years in the public education system. And then because of life circumstances, I had to make a choice to find a full-time role because I was just a part-time teacher when my kids were really little. And I found a role in a wellness center in a corporate environment. And that's sort of where I stayed for the next 8+ years, managing fitness centers for different corporate folks. And then got more into the corporate wellness space and really was trying to then teach adults how to have work-life balance. That was probably my most challenging role, I think, because of our culture and how go, go, go we are. And then, so I had all these fitness pieces and all the health and wellness pieces. I've been a certified personal trainer for 20 years.
Wow.
got my yoga cert. I'm a certified health coach. I have nutrition certs, CrossFit level 1, like strength conditioning, like all of these things. But as we were kind of going through the section of life that we as a family were healing, right? We
Mhm.
were in
Mhm.
programs, we were in therapy, um, trying to deal with the things that we've gone through in life. I started kind of realizing like I'm missing a piece. I'm missing a piece to work with people how I really want to work with people.
Mm.
So I had all the physical components, but I was like, well, I want to bring in nature because I know that has worked for me. And I'm also missing that mental health piece. And so I started looking for, certifications because that's what I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Like I'm a
Mhm.
lifelong learner, love to learn.
Love
And I
that.
looked
Yeah.
at all of them. I looked at forest therapy guides. I looked at Crapola has like an outdoor leadership course. I mean, I looked high, low, and everywhere. And then I found Heidi in the Center for Nature and Form.
Mhm.
And I was like, that's it. That's what I want to
That's
do.
the one.
Except I wasn't a therapist at that point. So I
Mhm.
reached out to Heidi and Zoe and I said, hey, I'm a certified health coach. I've been in health and well-being for, 20 years. Can I come? And they were like, sure. And I was like, yes.
Yay.
So I went and I think my course was in November. So the 3 days intensive was in November. And the first day I walked in, and I sat down at the fire circle table with my name on it, and I was just
Mhm.
like,
I was fire too.
"Oh, really? Oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool."
Yeah.
And I started chatting with the other people, and I was like, "Well, shit, now I have to go back to school because this
Found my
is what
tribe.
this is what I wanna do." So I
Yeah.
did. I, applied in January, so I went
Oh,
to the cert
wow.
in
Okay.
November.
It was
I
right
applied for the
there.
program. Yep. January, got accepted, and started in March. So,
Wow.
I was starting my master's as I was finishing up the certification
Mhm.
mentorship, and, I was just like, "Okay, here we go. 2.5 years, let's
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. It's
Yeah.
just it all kind of came together there, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So, I am a big believer in nothing like, everything happens for a reason, and there's meaning in
Mm.
everything, and I just feel like I was put in that certification course at that time for that reason, to just figure
Right.
out the next step.
And your experiences, both positive and negative and just life experience really it sounds like it I don't wanna say guided, but it led to, you know,
Yeah.
how did nature, how has that impacted you before the training, right? What did that
Yeah.
look like?
So I have always been a nature nut. Even when I was
Mhm.
little, making mud pies, I was always working in the garden with my dad. I remember a 5 gallon bucket of water and a ladle, and he'd be like, "Put 3 ladles on every tomato plant." Like
Wow,
it was
okay.
just something that we did together. And I was always playing in the woods and making forts and just all of it. So that has always been a piece of my life. But I think the really impactful, piece that started was when I got separated, um, and I had a couple of weekends free, right? The kids would go to their dads, and
Mhm.
I went to the woods, and I started hiking, and spending all day on a trail with my dog, and that led to not just day hikes, but then backpacking and just being out there and coming home and realizing that I could get into a complete different mental state while I was out there.
Mhm.
I had never experienced that before. Other than like lifting heavy weights, that's the other way that I can get there. But something that was physically challenging, but brought me to a different mental peace, right? Like just
Right.
being out to have no schedule, like nowhere to be.
Right. It's amazing the there is like a kind of like an umbrella schedule I find when I'm out, like sun up, sun down,
Yep.
and you got to eat. And that's like those are your basic feed,
Yep.
nourish yourself, and then the rest of it is just where it takes you, right? Where
Yeah.
what's interesting, the curiosity piece, which is
Yeah.
so for me, that's a big
Yeah.
piece. I had a similar, I want to give a shout out to my wife actually because I um I had a similar upbringing, forest in the woods, mud pies, trying to get my brother to eat mud pies, and things like that, growing up. I learned to walk in a campground, all of that fun stuff. Or I didn't learn, but I took my first steps there.
Yeah.
And then I moved into New York City, when I was 20 something. And I just kind of I don't want to say disconnected. I still had a connection, but it wasn't really as powerful. And then I met my wife and city girl, born and raised in Manhattan. Her idea of Central Park was her idea of nature, right? She had
Uh-huh.
no, did I belong out there? Did I, um, and then so we started going on hikes and I took her up to the Adirondacks to stay in a cabin and go on a nice big hike. We hiked Castle Rock off Blue Mountain Lake,
Yep.
which is a lot for your first big hike,
Oh, yeah.
at the end there. Um, and I watched her fall in love and it helped me fall in love. And then she started researching the therapeutic benefits. And I started, following that. And then I found the NIT training and was like, I needed similarly to chase a certification. What do I need? I need this. And
Right.
then, here I am. So
Yeah.
it's interesting how we find similar paths
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how it changes over time because when I
Yeah.
first started hiking and backpacking, it was all about the mileage I could do, the elevation I could do, how far, how long, how hard, right?
Hmm.
And now it's changed. Like there's trips that I take just for me, for my self-care, and it's me, my dog, and I don't have a plan.
Right. Right.
Like I just go. And if I do 2 miles to a creek and sit there for 3 hours, like that's what it is.
No, absolutely. I found myself like when I was young, I think growing up in the South, and I camped in Smoky Mountains National Park, and that's like twice a year. That's where I went all the time. But I would, this is late '70s, early '90s, right? And or early '80s. I would just wander the trails. I'd find my
Mhm.
way, and but it was based in curiosity and wandering through the river and all of that stuff. And I started let's do the mileage. Let's do that. I had a goal. I started fishing. I was like,
Mhm.
I've got to catch the fish. there was a destination ahead. And lately I've been getting back into the curiosity piece, which is
Mhm.
just being out there and just, what do I
Mhm.
see? What's
Mhm.
there? Let me be curious. And that's been really powerful for me.
Yeah. I love when I come home and I have these videos of like an inchworm on my shoe and I just watch it for like 10 minutes. Or like the duck just swimming by,
Yeah.
bathing. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody goes, "Well, what do you do out there?" And I'm like, "This."
I watched this, watch that inchworm.
Yep.
Well, you've got so at Deep Rooted Wellness and Creatives, right, is your company, your organization, and you've got a ton of different programs for women. And I thought maybe we could kind of if you could give a like an overview of
Sure.
all the different stuff. I know you do backpacking and overnight trips and like a
Yeah.
myriad of things.
Myriad of things. So yes, so I guess my signature kind of program is the Wild Resilience Backpacking Retreats for women
Hmm.
specifically. Um, I have built out levels, and this is where
Hmm.
my education background comes in because I love writing curriculum, so to speak.
Okay,
So,
cool. Yeah.
yeah, so we have foundations level, which is really building in the peace, the quiet, the downtime, right?
Hmm.
So it's perfect for beginners. It's under 15 miles for the whole weekend. It's under 5,000 feet of elevation gain, even less. But those are sort of the parameters for the physicalness of it. But it's
Gotcha.
really made to build in that downtime. So lots of time for the ladies to sit and talk or go sit by the waterfall and journal, right? So lots of downtime built into those. And then we have expansions level, which is all of that, little less downtime, little more physical. So
Gotcha.
under 30 miles for 3 to 4 days, and under 10,000 feet of elevation gain. But again, we're starting to sort of talk more about the physicalness of it and how to build resilience out of those physical experiences.
Hmm.
Um, And then I have 2 Masogi trips this year, which is based
Oh,
on the
wow.
Masogi principle, which is physical challenge and how to build resilience, and really diving into all of those emotions that you go through and how do you bring yourself through that experience? How do you learn from it? How do you translate it to life, right? Um, so yeah,
That's
so we have
powerful, yeah. How
yeah.
long are the Misogi trips?
Yeah, so May is gonna be 7 days.
7 days, wow.
Yeah, we're gonna do the whole section of New Jersey of the AT.
Nice.
Um, and then October, we're gonna go down to Dolly Sods and do a 5-day trip.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Like, how can you speak to how does you talked about the challenge and the physical challenge and what does that do? How does resilience come from that for the women you work with?
Yeah. So, I have been honored to witness, women come out for their first time ever, right? Never slept in a tent, never been
Wow.
backpacking. Um, some of them that come out have never even been, like, car camping, which I think is amazing, right? That they're
Yeah, the
making
courage and
the decision to come out.
vulnerability, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, but I have been honored to witness folks come out and climb that first hill with a backpack, and the look on their face of just like, "I did that," right?
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
these little snippets of, like of experiences that happen throughout the weekend of something challenging that they did, right? Maybe it's even just setting up their tent for the first time on their own, right?
Mhm.
Like, on day 2. And then having the time around the fire at night, or if it's raining, under the tarp, you know, and really just talking about that and making those connections of like, you did this really hard thing, you did it, right? And
Right.
now how are you going to take that? What, where else in your life can you apply that? Um, and also talking about maybe some of the reasons why they came out.
Right.
You know, some of the hurdles that they had to get past to even take the weekend for themselves. Um, so the interesting thing, and I think the unique thing that our experiences provide is not just the weekend. We do 2 prep calls before
Mhm.
the retreat. One is a month out. One is a week before. The month out prep call is all about backpacking 101. What does your equipment look like? What kind of food do you need to bring? All of the stuff, right?
Right, right. The concrete skill, like
Right.
not
Leave no
skill, but
trace,
like
like all of
yeah,
those
yeah,
things. But then I start a group chat, and then the magic
yeah,
starts to
yeah.
happen because they meet, right, a month out
Mhm.
on the Zoom call. And so they're putting faces to names. They're saying, yeah, I'm nervous. Like they're getting all those sort of like starting things going. Then we start the
Uh-huh.
group chat and then you start seeing it. Like they start bouncing ideas off of each other. What's next are you bringing? What kind of clothes are you bringing? And they start to build this community a month
Yes.
out,
That's amazing.
which is pretty cool. So then,
Uh-huh.
then we have the week out logistic call and then we meet at the trailhead. So some of those pieces are already formed before we even get there, which is cool. And then after the trip, we do a processing call like a week after,
Mhm.
and we talk about those things. What was the toughest thing on the trail? Well, how are you going to then, carry that forward? Um, we start to see like people pulling out other people's things that they saw them do, and giving each other like more support.
And
Um,
inspiration, it sounds like
and
too,
right.
right? Yeah, yeah.
And inspiration. So those are the pieces that I think I'm most proud of because it's not just a weekend trip.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
So
it's
much more.
it's getting an email 6 months down the line going, "Audrey,
Guess what I
guess what
did?
happened?" Right? Like
Right.
just incredible stories that come out, and I've had women send me testimonials, and just what they come out with in these testimonials is just like Like, it takes my breath away because sometimes I don't
Sure.
even see what happens for them until
Especially
later.
internally, right? That I mean, I imagine, like, especially for, like, the Masogi trips, but even, like, the expansion and foundations, I got that right? I
Mhm,
did.
yep,
And but the challenge and the confidence it must build in yourself and in your abilities, and which, like you're saying, translates really to it can truly translate to the rest of our lives. And that's I talk here in my office about, like, building a data bank, right, of successes to kind of build that
right.
confidence. But you're, like, out physically doing, like, and that it's in the body,
Yep,
which is your body remembers that stuff.
right, and that's the thing, right? So, I've had women that come out, and this is, like, a common theme, like, the "what about me?" Like, I've raised kids, or I'm at this point in my life, and I've taken care
Mm.
of everybody else, or I've done everything for everybody else, and now I'm at a point in my life, and I'm like, "What about this girl?" Right?
Mhm.
Like, and it
Mhm.
happens probably around 35, women start to kinda go, "Eh,"
Yep.
like, I need something for me. And so that is a very common theme, which creates a lot of great conversation. And sometimes these women are out there to get clarity on some really big decisions. Like, am I going to stay in a marriage or am I going to leave?
Mhm.
Or I lost this relationship. How do I get over it? Right? Like, there's some pretty big topics of conversation and some pretty big life decisions that I think these experiences give women space to decide.
Absolutely. And then we talk about so much in nature informed therapy about nature being like the co-therapist and holding us and giving us that space, and really, because we feel held, right? The security to be able to be themselves, and then the community that you build in these retreats also is holding and is supportive, and that must be so incredibly powerful. I mean, sitting around a fire talking about topics, this to me is like that's the pinnacle of
Right.
beauty, a community, that's you don't get better than that.
And it's also just women are so siloed most of the time.
Mm,
Like, they don't have community because they're so busy doing all the things for everybody else that they don't.
that's right.
They wake up in their mid-30s and realize they don't have their best friend anymore, or they don't get out and go do with a community, and so when they sit around the fire and start talking to each other and they're like, "Oh, I'm not the only person that this is happening for."
Right.
Um, yeah, yeah, and the space to even think about the things, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a
So for
woman in
themselves.
October. Yeah, well, I had a woman come out in October with me, and, it was a very a lot of downtime in October we built in to this specific retreat for some specific reasons, and
Hmm.
we did this, like, just, like, little short day hike to, like, explore the gorge area because it was just beautiful, so we just took
Yeah.
the couple hours to explore it, and this woman was crying, and I went up to her and I was like, "What's going on for you?" And she's like, "I wish I could tell you, but I don't even know why I'm crying." And I said, "Well, it's probably because you have a minute to your damn self and you could actually, like, feel the
Mm.
feels and do the thing." I said, "What do you need right now?" I said, "Do you wanna sit here?" It was by a waterfall. I'm like,
Oh,
"Do you wanna sit here?" And she's like, "Yes." So I'm like, "Get your journal, go sit. We're gonna be over there, like, do your thing."
take your
And
time. Yeah.
I think she sat there for at least an hour and a half to 2 hours doing
Wow.
her thing. And who knows when the last time she was able to do that for her.
That's so I want to call out, like, the importance of your doing this for women, because it's so in this empowering women in this social climate of oppression that we have going on right now in particular is it carries such real and powerful meaning. The impact that the spaces you create, not only for these women, your clients, but like as a community as a whole, like how does that kind of translate out, do you think? And what are your thoughts on that? Because it's really, really impactful and powerful what you're doing.
I think it's a small trickle, like, when
Mm,
you throw a rock in the pond and then
little.
it sort of goes out.
Hmm.
So I think these women take this experience back with them, right? And then they disperse it. So they come back with resilience and or a different perspective, and then that gets translated to their family or
Hmm.
their friends
Hmm.
or whoever, or they come back a little more confident, which translates to everything, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like this trickle of um they bring back confidence and maybe some more self-worth than they had before they came, and then that translates to their relationships, their work, their community. So I think it's like this subtle sort of
Yeah,
spread. Um, that's
that's
pretty
wonderful.
cool.
Yeah, that's something. I really, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of like taken aback a little bit about this thinking. I'm picturing the woman in particular sitting by the waterfall, having the space to herself to be able to just be. Because I think about all the things that are piled on women, right? And all the duties and the things that they're told they have to do, and witnessing that and having the space to just be, I think is so
Mm.
it's an amazing gift, I think, that you're giving them.
And something as you were talking, something else I think that is really powerful that comes up for a lot of women that come out is, we're told be smaller, do less, eat
Mhm.
less, do more, all the whole thing, like
Uh-huh.
look a
Yeah, the
certain
whole
way,
thing.
be in the box. And when they
Uh-huh.
come out and it doesn't friggin' matter what you look like because
That's
you're
right.
carrying that pack up that hill and your body is doing the work and you feel good about it, you start to really care a little less about what people think you should look like.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then that coupled with the confidence that it must build to carry that pack up that, I can imagine 7 days. I'm trying to picture myself doing that. And I'm like, yikes, this juncture, done it. But, but it's like now, it's just, it's really, it is so impactful. I imagine coming off the hill with what they gain by going up the hill, for
Mhm,
example. I mean, but, for even like a 4-day camping trip, the community that's built
mhm.
and I'm trying to picture people going out and never having car camped or
I
set up
know.
a tent or any of that, and the courage and vulnerability and trust in you and themselves, right? They believing even just this much that they can do it because they take that first step.
Yeah.
And then the the uh the confidence that builds when they said, oh my God, I did it. You know,
Mhm. Yep.
that's really something.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's I've created this intentional small experience, right? Like,
Mm,
you can find lots of guides that have backpacking trips, but they're taking, 10 people, right? And it's the experience and you definitely get a lot out of it. But I intentionally stay with no more than 6 people, 6
mhm.
women. There's myself and my program assistant, so that's 2 guides for 6 women, um, and it's intentionally designed for the connection,
Yeah.
not just miles or elevation or the trail, like, "Let's get this
Mhm.
trail done," sort of thing, and so I think the intention behind the retreat is different and, um more
Well, that's
complex.
more complex and that's I think where the power is. You use the word small, which I was like, small, this is not, my first reaction, well, this is so big. Like for what you're doing, right, is so
Right.
big, but you use the word small and I get, that it's I've never been on one of the backpacking trips with other people that, it's so I just found it interesting you use the word small, but because it's not
Small group, I guess I should
small
say.
group.
Small
I
group.
know, I know. I can't. So I'm trying to picture like being on a backpacking trip with more than 6 people. That sounds overwhelming to me. It's the community that you're building. Um, there's no more than 8 people, right, sitting around this circle,
Right.
which is like the perfect number, really.
Yeah.
And then, because I'm sure people get to go off, want to go
Mhm.
off and be with themselves and be
Yeah.
alone, and still feel comfortable and connected at the same while being able to go to that waterfall and sit for a couple hours, but
Yeah.
knowing that they're there and supported.
Mhm.
That's really powerful. Wow.
And choice, right? Like,
Choice.
the choice to do the activities or not do the activities. So, each client that comes out fills out a survey, and I ask some really cool questions like, what animal resonates with you? What color resonates with you? Why are you coming out? And that information does not go anywhere except me, right?
Hmm.
And then from that info, I create very specific personalized journal prompts and
Oh,
thoughts for
wow.
each person. So when they're out on the trail, they have their own personal stuff that they're working on, right? Everybody has their own reason for coming out. It should be personal. Um, but that's like another piece that I think is also very unique to this experience.
Absolutely. And that
Uh,
that's that's that speaks so much to the care that you're giving each individual to do that. I mean, that takes a lot of work on your part, but thoughtfulness, and
it-
that must make it all the more powerful to know that they're out there and someone's paying attention to just them and giving them what they need, because
yeah,
that, I imagine, doesn't happen a lot for a lot of these women.
yeah.
Um, just watching the women
And
in
I
my
also,
life and what's expected.
yeah. Yeah, and then I also have a personal conversation with each client before, after they sign up, we set up a session to talk, so they can just get to know me. I'm this lady taking you out in the woods, like, that's
Sure,
like,
yeah.
you wanna know who I am, right, before you actually
Absolutely.
do the thing.
Yeah,
But I
absolutely,
get to know
yeah.
them a little bit more, right, and,
Mhm.
I just think by the time we hit the weekend, we already have, like, this really good base, and choice. We were talking about choice. All the activities are there, but it's totally your choice if you want to. I've had women go, "I really would rather take a nap," and I'm like, "Then go do it."
Then
Like,
go take a nap.
have at it. Right? So, and I
That's
try to
amazing.
make that really clear. Like, we're gonna do these things, but if you don't wanna do that thing, then don't do the thing, right? Like, this is, and that is very interesting to see people's faces, like, "Oh, like, I can choose not to do the thing." Yes, this is your weekend, you can choose not to do the thing.
That is also giving power, right? That's
Yep.
that's that option, that choice, that's powerful
Mhm.
too.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's so simple, but it's not.
So simple, but it's so impactful in I don't wanna say today's society, but just society, right? All the I'm still picturing the woman sitting by the waterfall,
Yeah.
and, we talk I think about, um, the quiet and how powerful that can be in nature, and how, it's sitting in an office, and the quiet comes up for even just a minute, and it can be so uncomfortable for so many people,
Yeah.
but
Let's fill it with
but
something.
it's you got to fill it with something. But in nature, that must be on your retreats, having the option of going sitting by the waterfall and the quiet. It's never totally quiet,
Right.
but it's the sounds that, and if it is, you welcome it, I think. At night when things get quiet and you're just sitting there looking at the
Mhm.
stars, the birds have quieted, everything's quieted down. That must be a powerful moment as well. Moments.
Another interesting thing that happened last in July, I had a woman say to me, "You know, there's a big difference between turning my phone off and putting it over there on the counter at home and not using it, and not being able to use it because I don't have any service."
Right.
And when we were walking back to the car, she's like, "I kinda don't want service."
Absolutely. No, that's I got that. It makes me think of I do a family camping trip with myself, my best friend, his sister, and we're like my chosen family, right? And it's like my brother. And but the kids, they look forward to this trip, and and they're the teenagers that are all like on social media, and all of that stuff. They look forward to just disconnecting. And that's to me
Mhm.
is like, wow, this 17, 18-year old is like, I can't wait to get out there and disconnect, and the power that I find that impressive, for anyone to be able to do that today, to and then to watch them be so connected to the other people around, connected to nature, being curious and
Yeah,
catching the inchworms and playing with them, salamanders, and
yeah.
and the respect that they have, that they developed over the years. This summer will be our 15th year doing it. So like
Oh,
these
wow.
kids grew up. Yeah.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
kids grew up like doing this. This is their favorite trip of the year. And to watch, all of us, but to watch the little ones, they're not so little anymore, but to watch them really connect and be comfortable.
Yeah. Mm.
How
Yeah.
many of you said people have never done car camping. Do you ever have women that are facing like fears about being in nature, or?
Yeah. So, back to your question about what I offer. The women's backpacking retreats is probably the main thing, but I also offer custom retreats.
Mhm.
And so I have had like a couple of custom retreats because they're not ready for backpacking yet. Like they're not ready for that. Like, they need the
Gotcha.
bathroom, they need a little bit
Right.
of comfort, right?
Mhm.
Or people with, like, mobility issues or that just don't
Yep.
have the physical, ability to do the backpacking. So I have done retreats, like, at a state park, set up, like, a car camping situation, and then just
Mhm.
done day hikes, and then, all of the things at the campsite.
Yeah.
Fire, you can do all of the same things, it's just a little less intimidating for some folks. So I
Right.
wanted to have that accessibility option for people that just aren't ready or capable to do the backpacking. And I think that's a really nice way to sort of dip your toes in. For instance, I have family retreats as well,
Mhm.
and the first one this year is going to be at a state park in a car camping situation because the kids have never done it. And so I was like, well, let's do this, right? Like we
Yeah.
can do the trail, we can, do all the things. The main idea, the main purpose of doing a connected family retreat is to connect, right? So like
Right.
who cares if we're like really, roughing it, backpacking, or if we're doing the car camping? Like it doesn't matter. We're putting the phones away. They're not going to have technology. We're going to be walking on the trail. We're going to be exploring nature and doing the things together. That's the point. So who
Right.
cares where you are, right?
And you still have the opportunities for peace, solace, quiet, all of that still exist. Like the day hikes, the
Yep.
even sitting around the fire at night in
Yep.
a state park. That's what we
Yep.
do in our 15-year trips. Is it's a local state park,
Yep.
and that's but we get to go out and do things and
Yeah.
get to see
Together.
it all together. Yeah, there's like 11 or 12 of us. That is, I think 11 of us, and we're all it's the kid's favorite trip of the year, and mine too. So
Absolutely.
I love
Yeah.
it.
And that's the point.
That is the point. What in so in these retreats, oh God, you offer something for everyone, which is amazing. What I guess should people know? Like, what do they? So you do the pre-trip preparation,
Mhm.
the calls, the post call. What do they need to know about the equipment, or how does that work?
So I have equipment. One of the things when I started doing this was I wanted it to be accessible. And who wants to go out and purchase $500 worth of equipment and then never do the thing again?
Right.
So because I'm a licensed guide, I I get really good deals on really good equipment. So,
Mm,
I have Nemo tents, I have Duder backpacks. I have accumulated, enough to outfit everybody. I don't
wow.
Nobody needs to have anything, and that's what I wanted. I wanted somebody to be like, "I wanna do the thing, I don't have any of the things, what do I do?"
Hmm.
Um, Everybody has some workout clothes, right? Like, you don't
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
go buy anything special. The only thing I would recommend for people to buy if they don't have it is, like, merino wool socks,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like, if
those are
all they have
important,
is, like,
right?
cotton socks, like,
Hmm.
if you have to buy anything, buy something that goes on your feet.
Yeah, that's so important.
Food, you can bring what you normally eat. We throw around a lot of ideas, packets of tuna, crackers, wraps, and peanut butter. Like, you don't have to even go buy backpacking meals if you don't have it. Um, and in fact, one of the first retreats I did with another colleague of mine, and we did it with a sober living community close
Hmm.
by. And those folks don't have anything, right?
Right,
Like, they don't have anything. And so my business expense that time was buying the backpacking meals for folks, right? Like $8 a pop, big deal. But it gave that group such a sense of like doing the thing ultimately. It was
right.
a small price, right? It was a small price to pay. Um so, yeah, accessibility is important. I also offer partial scholarships for folks. I don't offer full scholarships because having a little accountability
Yeah,
financially
yeah.
goes a long way.
Mhm.
But I will never not work with someone.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
What
that's
about
important.
shoes? I think I saw something you posted recently about shoes and because that's as someone who does hiking, right? It took me years to find the right
Right.
shoes that for me, you know. So can you speak to that at all?
Yeah. So if somebody's coming out for like a foundations trip, I don't necessarily, again, want them to go buy anything. If they have a pair
Hmm.
of like sneakers that fit them well and they're comfortable, and I'm like, for the weekend, you can do that. Um, if someone wants to put some investment in, the first thing I tell them is invest in your feet. Like that is the first
Yeah.
thing you should be buying, right?
Hmm.
I don't recommend any certain brand because
Hmm.
everybody's feet is so different.
Yeah.
Um, what I recommend is going to a reputable outdoor store and trying them all on. Trail runners, boots, like
Right.
men's,
Right.
women's, wides, all
Yeah.
of the things. Um, and
Spend the
then
time.
spend the time. And then get a half a size bigger, right? For
Okay.
double socks or your feet swell, myriad of
Oh, that's
reasons.
really good advice. That's smart. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, go try them all on, walk them around the store, right? Like really figure out what fits your feet.
That's so important. Absolutely. Because I the blisters I've developed and saying these shoes look cool and they get good traction and they
Yeah.
feel a little comfortable, but
Yeah.
it's 7 miles in, you're
You're like, "Ooh, they're not so
oh
much
wait,
comfortable."
and
And the
and and
thing
you
is
got to go
when
back.
right, and when you put weight on your back, your shoes feel different. They might be really
Oh,
comfortable
that's a
until
good
you put
point
that
too.
backpack on.
'Cause those things aren't light,
No, they're not
yeah,
light.
they're not light. I mean, they're the packs are well designed and
Yeah,
it's you wear
yeah,
them right, they your
yeah,
your body can carry it, right? That's part of the challenge, I think,
yeah.
is learning that, right?
But if you go to a reputable outdoor store, like I have a nice partnership with Campmore,
Mhm.
REI is a great place. You
Mhm.
could go tell them to weight a backpack, right? Put the backpack on and then try the shoes on. Like, make it real
Oh,
time, right? Like, make it
yeah.
for what you're really gonna do with the shoes. That'll give you a really good idea if it's gonna work.
Yeah. I found my wife and I found a brand we love, and that's like our go-to now because it
Mhm.
took us years,
Yeah, yeah,
10, 15 years to figure that out.
yeah.
But here we are
And then
trying
just
all
when
the
you
ones that
find
didn't
it,
work.
Right, just when you find it, the style will change.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh my god. I went to go rebuy the ones I really liked.
Mhm. I usually go on Poshmark and find, like, 2 or 3 pairs of the ones that I love and just buy slightly
That's
used
smart.
ones.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And they're broken in, and
Yeah, yeah.
do you have any other, like, anecdotes of any like, I'm picturing the Misogi trips, right? They're 7 days, for example, this first
Yeah, yeah.
one, and what happens when, like, it gets a little I don't wanna say too much, but someone questions, "I don't know if I can do it," because I
Mhm.
imagine I imagine that has happened.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So, some interesting things happen, and I have already had the prep call, the first prep call for May, and I said to all of the clients on the call, I said, "Every single one of us, including this girl, is gonna have a bad day. It's 7 days. Like,
Yeah.
day 1, we're gonna be like, 'Woo!' Day 2, we're gonna be like, 'Woo!' Day 3, we're gonna be like, 'Ooh.' Day 4, we're gonna be like, 'Oh.'" Like, right? Like, you're gonna see the up and down,
Mhm.
but what you start to see is you start to see somebody having a bad day, somebody stepping up.
Oh, wow.
Somebody,
Community.
down in emotional state, somebody stepping up to lift them up. So, you start seeing this really interesting group dynamic happening. Right, like, even on the call, we're like, "Okay, what day is resupply? Okay, I'm a little nervous of this," and then somebody chimes in with an idea. So, you start to see this group dynamic take place of, like, people really starting to pick up I don't wanna say slack, but pick up where somebody can't,
Right.
right?
That's really that ugh,
And then
and
that
then
flip-flops, right? So, maybe the
mhm.
next day, somebody else is having a hard time, and somebody else kind of comes alongside them. Whatever it is.
So
Um,
powerful. I'm thinking it just I mean, that's community, right? That's how really community works. We support each other and there are days we all have days, like you're saying, and to have someone be able and to trust that in
mhm,
your community, I think is also really something that sounds like you do a really good job of building is that trust. And so knowing that I can have a bad day and that I'll be okay because I've got my community here to support me, just like I'll be there to support them if they're having a bad day. And
yeah,
that's a model for beyond the trail, you know?
and the beautiful thing about this that I've been seeing it sort of build in the business, right? All of the people that are coming out with me in May have been on multiple retreats with me
Mm,
already, and so we have this really great foundation already, so I'm really excited to kinda see where they go and where they take it, and how they use this
wow.
experience to even, like, move forward even more.
That's wow. Repeat like and that also speaks to like the trust and the powerful experiences
Mhm.
that they have on these retreats. And I imagine that starts at the, you know, custom state park camping trip and all the way up to
Yeah,
the 7-day Musogi trips, right?
yeah.
Um, all full of powerful experiences and the belief in yourself you must walk away with, after achieving.
Listen, we all have our own work to do, and
Yes, okay.
it's always something, and I would say this last year, I've really worked on, like, the imposter syndrome,
Mm,
mentality, and there's been times where I've had to, like, fake it till I make it, like,
mhm,
remind
mhm.
myself, like, "You have 20 years of experience. You have all the credentials. You have your license now. Like, you have all the things. Stop thinking that somebody else is doing it better," or, like, what you
Right.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so that has been some of my work that I've been working on in the past year.
I can absolutely relate to that, and, it's, that makes it, I think, more this is something my wife would tell me is she's my biggest cheerleader, which is awesome, but she's like but that makes you real. That makes you a person, and that
Yeah.
models like resilience for those around you that put their trust in you, and you can see that you can struggle too, and work through that.
I have had those comments, right? Because I am an open book
Mhm.
and I have recovered out loud. I write about my abusive marriage and the struggles that my kids have been through, and I am very open and honest because I never want somebody to feel alone because I felt very alone, and everything was very hush hush for a very long time for me.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't ever want somebody to feel that way ever again. Even if it's just they heard me say something and they realize it, but I never know. Right? Like
Right.
I may
Yeah.
never know that that person was like, "Oh, maybe I don't feel alone right now because she just said she went through that or experienced that." And that's sort of the beauty and the curse of doing this work, because you don't know if you don't know the impact you have sometimes. You don't
Yeah.
know if you
No,
have
that's
any
true.
impact sometimes, right? Like,
Right?
sometimes you
You
go through
think you do and you
days,
don't? Yeah, yeah.
right? And you're like, "Bueller, is anybody listening? I don't know." And that's okay, but it's really special when you do find out, like, "Oh, I said the thing that resonated with that person."
Mm,
Or that person did not feel so lonely, right? Or you just had some impact that you didn't realize that was it wasn't a big deal to you, but it was a big deal to somebody else.
yeah. I belong to a nonprofit. We do fly fishing retreats for people in recovery,
Mhm.
and I started an overnight retreat, which has
Love
been,
that.
yeah, and getting sitting around a campfire on the river. Yeah, I'm picturing it like you on your retreats, and so similar, like getting to know each other and just sharing that
Mhm.
experience, strength, and hope, around the campfire. It's really powerful, and then building the weekend from there. We're learning to connect with nature as well,
Mhm.
through fly fishing, but it's a powerful experience to model that resilience,
Mm.
even if you don't even if you're not loud and boisterous about it, right? But it's
Right.
it's like you're saying, you don't always know what is connecting with someone or what they're connecting
Yeah.
with and what they see, and being louder about it is important. You know, I don't advertise all the time that I'm in recovery, but it's a thing about me that's been a thing about me for a long time,
Right.
and I'm proud of myself, and I think others can see that. And it's nice to connect with others that are taking this new life, I guess, and running with it, right?
And it's part of who like what makes you you, right? Like
Yeah, yeah, it's a
whatever
big part.
struggle you had, it could be substance use, it could be whatever, right? Like
Mhm.
it's the experience of having the struggle and moving past it and working on it and doing the work and coming out the other side.
Yeah,
Because for the people that are in it, that light over there at the end of the tunnel doesn't look so bright.
that's right. That's such a good metaphor there. It's because it doesn't sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many like metaphors like in this space that you can use, for the mental and the physical pieces. The other big thing I think for women that come out is the focus on fueling their bodies as opposed to restriction. And so from day
Mm.
one, that first prep call, I'm like, this is not the place to lose a couple pounds this weekend. Like,
You'll need
and
that
I just
energy.
say it flat out. And being a guide, I have to make sure that these women are fueled, because if they're not fueled, we're going to have issues.
Right.
Um, and so just that switch in the narrative in their head as I, it doesn't matter. Like, A, it doesn't matter what I look like. B, it doesn't matter what I'm eating. And it's not good or bad. It's fueling what I need to do with my body. Um,
That's
that
self-care
is
on
a
so many
huge,
levels,
yeah, that is a
right?
huge one.
Yeah.
Huge one.
And the point of view of doesn't matter what I look like or what, other people's perspectives. I'm fueling my body because I need this energy because I'm doing this thing that requires
Mhm.
me to be okay. And so
Exactly. Yep.
speaking of metaphors, right? That's for life. It's taking care
Yeah.
of ourselves. We're always taught to put ourselves last, right?
Right.
Women in particular, but just as people in society, it's in this modern day society anyway, um, putting everybody else first and everything else first. And the reality is, and something I say a lot, is if we're, what's the saying? If we're not okay, we can't take care of anyone else. And
Right.
yeah,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
wow.
That's why I love what I do.
I love what you do too, Audrey. I wanted to do similar kind of things, and but my path just kind of led me in a different direction, it's life
Mhm.
circumstances, things like that, but who knows what the future holds, right? So you're an
Well,
inspiration, Audrey. That's what I want to
well,
say.
well, thank you. Well, the word of the year is tenacity.
Oh,
The word for last year was why not, even though that's 2 words, I don't care. So I'm coming off of why not, and I'm looking at tenacity. So I'm just
that's amazing.
doing the thing.
Wow. Well, so okay, you've got all of these programs. Is there anything you want to highlight, upcoming events that people should know about?
Oh, I would just say if you're interested, if you have the least little bit of interest, just reach out. We can hop on a call and talk about, your fears and your anxieties and where you are. And I want people to have a good experience. So
Hmm.
I never want to lose the personal touch. And so I will always have a personal conversation if you're on the fence for whatever reason. We
It's
will
so
find something
important.
that fits you. Yeah.
That's so important. So it's amazing that you take the time and the care to do that and to provide that for potential clients and the clients
Yeah.
and from what you've said, the ones that sign on and are part of the retreats.
Yeah.
It must be so powerful, such a powerful experience. And again, thank you. How do people reach out to you? I mean, your website is deeprootedwellnessnj, as in New Jersey.com.
Yes.
Beyond that, what do
Email Audrey at deeprootedwellnessandcreatives.com. I'm sorry it's so long. um, yeah, the phone number is right on the website.
Hmm.
Social inbox me. I'm very easy to get a hold of. I always return phone calls and emails first thing. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Um, and like I said, I just want to meet people where they are. So there's something that we can
What are your social handles to follow?
Facebook is Deep Rooted Wellness and Creatives, and Instagram is Deep Rooted Wellness. And then there is a YouTube, but God, I can't remember what that is. I think I
Just,
said
I'm
this
sure
to
if
you.
we search deep rooted wellness and creatives, it'll
I'm
come up.
sure it'll come up. So bad.
I know it's hard. No, it's hard to remember all of them off the top of
I
your head.
I have a wonderful person who helps me with website and some of the social stuff, and she's fantastic. So
Well,
she's the
all of this
YouTube.
information will be in the show notes, and there'll be live links. You can just click and take
Awesome.
you right to
Love it.
Instagram or wherever. Um, Thank you
Love
so
it.
much, Audrey, for being here today.
Oh,
This has been a wonderful conversation. I really appreciate it.
thank you for having me. I love what you're doing, and I love the
Thank
different
you.
topics that you're bringing. So keep doing your thing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to The Nature of Mental Health. If you enjoyed today's episode, please follow, rate, and share the show. It helps others find their way to this community. For more resources, visit riverstonementalhealth.com. Until next time, notice the small spaces where nature meets your day. Stay curious, and may you find resilience in every season.